until I see my old self body drop. That's the words that came out of my mouth. Until I see that body drop, I will not be satisfied with whatever the result is, even though I would be grateful. I feel like I was talking to 1,000-pound weight that was stuck on my leg, that was stopping me from growing, moving, becoming something else. Hate, fear, pain, and anger can be a person's greatest fuel if transmuted properly. I don't think that there's anything that brings forth a more productive version of us when we pull power from the things that are supposed to defeat us. I have a confession. Yo, welcome to another episode of an unexpected Think Pieces and Conversations. This is 8 Left Earth. This is 8 Left Earth. This is the 96th or 97th episode, and I've been struggling for a long time to really define what this podcast is about. What is this podcast about? There are other podcasts that are relationship podcasts. There are other podcasts that are gaming podcasts. There are podcasts that are criminal crime podcasts, conspiracy podcasts. There is so many different genres out there in the universe. I never really defined what is this podcast for. That's kind of why I only called it Think Pieces and Conversations. You understand? I think I figured out what this podcast is. This podcast is a note taking of my life. I'm taking notes. I'm talking about certain things that affect me at the time. This might not be an SEO friendly podcast where I put certain tags and it gets 1,000 views, 10,000 views, 100,000 views. I got other content for that. This is simply for therapy, simply for jotting down what's going on at the time in my life or the things that's affected me at the time, to have a thought about it, to think about it, to have a conversation about it, to critically think about it. So I'm in the shower and I was like, damn, I'm kind of proud of myself today. I did a lot of work today. I did the most content I've ever did in one time, in one day, at one night. And I started to feel like my old self was dying. Now you say, hey, what you mean by dying? There was an old self that I felt like died not too long ago, a couple days ago. There was a old self that believed in fairy tales. Not believe in fairy tales as in I can't manifest it. But there was a different part of me that believed that if I just imagined it and not worked for it, it would just magically come to me. But that's just not how life works. Life doesn't work like that. life works. When things happen, there is a result or defining moment before that gives you the reason why X outcome has happened. You see what I'm saying? There is always a reason why. There is always an Adam before the human population. Maybe that went over your head. There is always a cell before it becomes a full life form. There is always a thought before it becomes non-fiction. You see what I'm saying? Everything has happened for a reason before. So I was in the shower. I'm taking the shower. And sometimes I sing to myself. I wish I could sing. So I'm singing. I'm like, I ain't doing no more favors. I ain't doing no more favors. So I kept saying that. And I'm like, yo, I ain't doing no more favors. The person that I was before, not too long ago, was the type to do favors for folks that wasn't grateful. And I realized that I value when people are grateful. I value reciprocation, and I am accepting nothing less than reciprocation. The old me used to just do things just because. And people used to tell me, yo, you need to do it just out the kindness of your heart. I'm gonna keep it real. If I'm doing something and I don't want reciprocation for it, that's because it was just a throwaway deed for me. I just wanted to do it. But if I want something in return and I don't think something is coming in return, I'm not doing it. Excuse the laugh. And I came to that realization. I became deadly realistic with who I am. I became very objective with who I am in these past couple of days. Today I chose pain. Today I chose discomfort. Today I chose to work all day from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. with content, with busting out 50 push-ups at a time straight, with fasting in the morning, with only eating 6 eggs until about 5 p.m. I only ate 6 eggs and wasn't hungry. Decided to work all day when I got tired. Chose not to take a break. When I saw this favorite YouTube channel that has some of this content that I wanted to watch, I chose to skip it until I was done. A lot of these habits that are becoming habits have never been done before until today. I wrote this tweet today. I was like, let me see if I can find it for y'all. I wrote this tweet and it made absolute sense to me, and it kind of defines where I'm at right now. It kind of defines where I'm at right now. I said, hate, fear, pain, and anger can be a person's greatest fuel if transmuted properly. I don't think that there's anything that brings forth a more productive version of us when we pull power from the things that are supposed to defeat us. Per my last podcast episode, I spoke about something that I disconnected from that before used to be hard for me to disconnect from. But I took the first leap of faith and I said, you know what? I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to get rid of it. So a part of me died that day. The thoughts that I thought about that person is not even the same thoughts. There used to be feelings of jealousy. There used to be feelings of discomfort. There used to be feelings of scarcity when I thought about this person. And I mean that 100%. I'm being 100% honest. After I disconnected, it was like the man inside me became stronger, more sure of himself. I always had this before. I always cut off that connection before. There was always a time when I cut off the same connection multiple times, but this time felt different. This time was like, oh, you serious now? You really believe what you saying right now? Is your old self about to die? Many times in my life, I've died many times in this life. In this current cycle of life that I'm in right now, there's many times where I have figuratively died. There's many times where I went through trauma that has killed the old version of myself at that point before that trauma happened. And after the fact, I was grateful. I was even grateful for the things that created that trauma. Those things may be more powerful. Those things may be more sharper. Those things may be more of who I needed to be for the next level. For the next devils that step in my path to becoming the amazing man that I'm supposed to be. The amazing man that I am right now. The one that I picture in the very near future that will manifest itself from the one that I'm thinking in my brain right now. There's one more death that has to occur. This is not a literal death. These are some of the thoughts that I had in my shower. Right? As I came out the shower, as I started moisturizing, hair maintenance, hygiene, brushing my teeth, brushing my tongue, I'm just thinking, I'm like, yo, I'm thinking back to this astrology thing that I was doing. This lady at work, I forgot her name, but she did this astrology chart for me. And it wasn't even a chart, it showed numbers on it, a bunch of numbers. And it showed me something called a second pinnacle. My second pinnacle. My second pinnacle is coming very soon. I don't know what it means for a person to hit their second pinnacle. But when I saw it, I was like, pinnacle, peak. Oh, that means I got a lot more growing to do if I'm only hitting my second pinnacle at this age coming up. So all them times that I died before, figuratively, was only leading up to this big quantum leap that I'm supposed to experience in this very near future. And I had a realization with myself again. I said, there's one more death that has to occur before I feel satisfied with who I become. Until I see my old self body drop. That's the words that came out of my mouth. Until I see that body drop, I will not be satisfied with whatever the result is, even though I would be grateful. There is an old self, a big part of that old self died a couple days ago. A lot of my fear went away. A lot of my unsureness went away. But I feel like there is a little bit more of it trying to stay afloat and trying to stay alive. And I can't allow that to happen. So for my viewers out there, you will experience a lot of different things and a lot more content, and it's gonna be an output that you have never seen before, that I have never seen before, and it's all due to trauma, if you can say, grief, having to let go, having to destroy and rebuild. But this ain't the first time that I've been through this. This is many times that I've been through a destroy and rebuild phase in my life, in this current life. So me being afraid to do that again is non-existent. When I was a kid, childhood, middle school, I was a very soft kid. Sheltered. Was always following my cousin around. Didn't know who I was for a very long time. Kids used to pick on me. I didn't know why. Now at this age, I realized I was handsome, and I was more handsome than all them niggas. So they was hating. But as time went on, there were times when I was forced to show some teeth, forced to show people who I was really on the inside, because the truth of the matter is I wasn't really soft. I was scared for everybody else of what I'd do to them. But I was taught wrong. I was taught, yo, turn the other cheek, don't hit back. Old Christianity. Then I realized, nah, you gotta stand up or they're gonna keep going. So as I got older, there was a resentment that built in my soul and my spirit. In my soul and my spirit. So when I actually got angry, it would be like a whole nother side, a whole nother demon, a whole nother righteous force, I should say. And when I say righteous force, it's a righteous force because now I'm justified in being angry. So everything that will be released upon the opposition will feel justified. So that intensified whatever was happening at the time, even right now. So right now, I don't get angry with it's not uncontrollable anger, it's controlled anger. My words are sharper, my mind is sharper. I hit where it hurts. So when I made this tweet, there was many times in my life where I had to transmute hate, fear, pain, and anger into something special, into something tangible, into something positive. But At this age, at this next level that I'm about to step into, I've kind of mastered the transmutation process. It's very hard. There was times before this last time. There was a time before this last time, this last traumatic event, that I experienced a heavy form of betrayal years ago. And I had to transform because it felt like death. It felt like my old self was dying and I couldn't hang on to that version again. I started working out. I started getting a 6-pack. Had one in high school. Decided to gain more weight though. Decided to read, decided to meditate. When I went through the last traumatic event and I was introduced to meditation, I meditated for 30 minutes. Maybe the first time I meditated for an hour because I had to get rid of this pain. This last thing didn't feel like pain. It didn't feel like trauma. It felt like I had to drop something off a cliff. I had to let go of something. Something that was holding me back. Something that wasn't giving me what I wanted. And not even because I didn't deserve it. It's because they didn't deserve me. So as I slept yesterday, and the old thoughts that I used to have that'll make me feel fear, jealousy, hate, anger, I purposely thought those same thoughts that would give me those feelings. They no longer gave me those feelings. Those feelings turn into arousal. Those feelings turn into excitement. Those feelings turn into confidence. Because this ain't the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time that I felt taken for granted by this thing. But this is the first time where I was like, yo, leave me alone. That's it. I felt like I was talking to a demon. I felt like I was talking to 1,000-pound weight that was stuck on my leg, that was stopping me from growing, moving, becoming something else, greater. I had to watch that body drop. Not literally, figuratively. And that was in the form of my old self, and that was in the form of that thing or that person that I had to let go and never look back. Even though I let go of that thing, some parts of me is still alive of that old self. I have a confession. Sometimes I put myself through things so I could get the best out of me. Sometimes I put myself through scarcity so I could get the best version of myself under pressure. Under pressure, I become diamond cut, trillion cut diamond. Whatever's harder than diamond, I become that. So sometimes I'll be like, yo, I'm gonna go get this thing and put myself at the worst position so my brain could become creative enough, so my stamina could increase, so my strength could increase, so my body could feel that fear, so my body could feel that pain and break through. Sometimes I'll put myself through a debt. I'll put myself through certain things, a struggle, just to see the best version of myself. Maybe I'm insane. But every time when I come out of it, I become the best version of whatever I was. I get a level up. I get an increase. I become a giant. I get more confident because I just survived something crazy. There's many times in my life I watched the body drop. The body is the old self. The body that I'm seeing drop is the old self from before. This next one is going to be enough weight so I can fly. Finally. Figure it out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Is there a version of you that you gotta see dead, killed? How long are you gonna wait to make sure that body drop? I'm out of here.